Welcome to the Au Jus. I'm your host, Beef Loaf. This show is being sponsored by our friends Punky's Pizza and Pasta, located at 2600 South Wallace, my personal favorite eatery in the neighborhood. They have the best selections of pizzas and pastas, as well as sandwiches and salads of any spot in Bridgeport. Currently, they have what they're calling the Pizza Happy Hour, Mondays and Tuesdays only, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. You order a pizza from Punky's, you get 50% off. Yes, you heard that correctly. 50% off pizzas ordered Mondays and Tuesdays between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. How in the world can you get 50% off the best pizza in Bridgeport? The Pizza Happy Hour. Hit the website, punkyspizza.com, for all your carryout or delivery needs, or to cater your next party. You can also call 312-842-2100. The Scarlotta family will take care of you. Punky's Pizza and Pasta. The 108ers are doing a live show, the Sox Fest After Party Show at Reggie's Rock Club in the South Loop, 2109 South State Street on Saturday, January 31st. Doors open at 7:30. The program starts around 9 p.m. Tickets are $20 and readily available at 108.ing/party. As well as Reggie's website, which is reggieslive.com. Buy tickets now, make it to the biggest White Sox fan party of the offseason. This show is also powered by you, loyal 108 supporter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to tickle the undercarriage in the process. Like, comment, turn on notifications, and most definitely super chat, because that's how we get paid. That's how we continue to make the content you know and love. Tonight's guest... He's the managing editor at FutureSox.net and the co-host of the Future Sox podcast, along with the friend of the show, Ian Eskridge. He's also one of my favorite people to talk about Love is Blind with, and that is James Fox. Welcome to Au Jus, my friend.
Yeah, coming off maybe their worst season of all time, right? Like, yeah.
I told you.
So I felt bad because I was like, oh, it's terrible. And you're like, oh, like you and your daughter watch it, right? So
and my wife, all three of us. We'll watch it together, yeah.
And you're like, oh, we just started. I'm like, well, now I feel bad because I do feel like it's one of those things where like I'll watch every season and like once I'm pot committed, like I'm in, right? But
yeah,
I was like, dude, you're gonna hate every one of these people.
You know what? So you tell me that right out of the gate, and we're watching for a little bit. I don't tell my wife and daughter yet.
Yeah.
And then about 4 episodes in, I tell them like, yeah, it's trending that way. And we were trying to like hold out hope for I like this one. You know, I like Anton or I like Ali and then none of it. Just no one should have gotten to the aisle. No one should have gotten to the end there. Zero conversions, but they shouldn't even made it that far. My personal opinion. Like,
I always think it's admirable when one of them's like, you know what, that this isn't gonna work. Like, and they're just like after the week or whatever, they're just like,
yeah, they just jump out before they get before they get all the stuff going on. And some of them jumping even like in the middle of the free vacation. I would at least wait until the free vacation's over before I jumped out of there. That would be my plan of attack. So
for sure.
Yeah, Mrs. Beef says, fantastic take. The season was absolutely awful.
Oh, it's bad. Minnesota, we should have probably known, but
that's correct. I wanted to get you on here. I want to talk a little bit about the international signing period, which just came upon us. However, packed in with that group, with the Jan 15th signings, I want to dovetail back because the White Sox made some crucial signings out of the Japanese league on NPB. First, they signed Anthony Kay, and Anthony Kay signing to me looks a lot like the Eric Fetty signing, and so I don't know. That to me, bells didn't go off in my head. It looked like something that they're capable of doing. They've done in the past. A guy who was in the majors, retread, so you've got data on him, plenty of it. But when the White Sox went out and signed Munetake Murakami, we had a substantial thread on Twitter about other aspects of this signing. If you want to go dig into that, and we were talking about the marketing and all that stuff. But one of the things we didn't cover so much, James, is at least some of the value has got to come from, and this signing is like just having a foothold in that marketplace. Do you think that was important to David Keller and the group of having a marquee signing like this? This is a bigger signing than the small little bite size that Anthony Kay was.
For sure. And I think the Dominican Republic's more important, and we'll get to that part of it, right? But this is like one of the things David Keller wanted to do. I mean, they had basically no foothold in the Pacific Rim, like since like 2005. Like those were
right.
like they just, and it's kind of funny. They're like, oh yeah, we hired a scout. Like just one, you have one guy like that's there. Does he go to every country like in Asia? Like what are we? But yeah, like supposedly this highly regarded guy, and I think Keller was doing a lot of this stuff with the Mets, so he knew these players.
Yeah.
The whole Murakami thing is fascinating to me because it's a no-brainer for the Sox. I mean, even though it's a 2-year deal, like could it bite him if he's really good? Sure, but like that's fine. Like, I hope
Right.
I hope he's
Let
really
it. Yeah.
That would be great. Like, we'll
Mhm.
see the outcome of that, right? Yeah, I was like tied up kind of in this whole, like, because I got some bad information on this, and then I got good information, but I was busy, and I was like, whatever, screw it. Like, I don't care if people like, like kill me on Twitter for being wrong or whatever. But
Right.
I will say, like, I think one thing that really helped the White Sox that a lot of people haven't talked about is the fact that he was like a fourth or fifth option for like a lot of teams, for like good teams, right? It's like, well, if we don't
Right.
get Pete Alonso, we'll sign this guy. Well, but when you have like a 45-day limit to sign, I think it just like hurts. So like that's where a team like the White Sox can swoop in and be like, well, we'll give you this money. Like, it made a lot of sense. And then the other fascinating thing, me and Ian talked about this a little bit, just the whole market. Like, I feel like everybody's wrong about these guys this year, right? And I like said something about like the media miscalculated, and then people were like, well, you are the media. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Like,
yeah, but you're not running models and saying the guy's worth
exactly.
9 figures,
100%. Like, yeah, like I feel like even like well-respected dudes that we would go to for this at the beginning of the offseason were like 6 years at 188. Like, he did not get that. Like, that is not what happened. So the fact that like that was hard to calculate, it's like, oh, the White Sox are in. I'm like, well, what do you mean the White Sox are in? Like, how much money does this guy get? Does he like secretly suck somehow? And
right.
I don't know how good he'll be, but I like lefty power hitters, so it should be fun.
Yeah, perfect for our ballpark. And I think an understated point here is that the White Sox were even in position to swoop in this spot. Like, they had done enough of the diligence. They were kind of ready as the market price started to tumble back towards them, that they could get in position to make a play here. And it's not something I'm familiar with the White Sox doing very much, where, something happens in the marketplace and they're advantageous. They're taking advantage of something that occurs out there. And to me, that's what this looked like. This was like, okay, they weren't initially in on the guy, but wait, now something's happening. All right, we know enough about this guy. Let's get in and finish the process, see if we can land the guy. And so I thought that was really cool. And it was good to see from this regime, because they haven't really been tested in the free agent part. They've been rebuilding, all the underlayer of this, and rightfully so. That's been a mess, and that's really the highest priority, right? You got to start from that level. So to pop up here, it was like exciting. It's like, oh shit, they're actually going to do this, and they're going to lock it in. And I agree with you. The 2 years to me, it does nip in the bud the upside, but to me, this always looked like an advantageous value play to me, and not in we're opening the window, not in we always plan to do this. It was more like, hey, we can do this, and let's just get a guy who we think's valuable.
Right. And like you hear right away, like, oh, if he's good, they'll never keep. It's like they could sign him. I don't know. Like, they might. Like, what? They're not going to have anything on the books. Like, you can't sign a first.
They did it with Abreu.
That's what I mean. Like, I think if he's really good, I think he'll be here for a while. I just, kind of feel that way. And yeah, I think David Keller is pretty good. I mean, I've been wrong about Sox employees before, but at least like process wise, like I believe in like what he's trying to accomplish.
Right. Yeah. And they did make 2 signings in Japan. Anthony Kay's the other one, starting pitcher, which I think they need more starting pitching even at this point as we sit here cruising towards February. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting and good to see. And it's good to see from the perspective of, hey, all these markets that we felt like were not open to us, the White Sox fan was never seeing signings there. Now you can sign a player from Korea, from the Korean League. You can sign players from the NPB. And now as we'll jet over to the Jan 15 signings, you can sign players in the Dominican Republic, which they haven't been doing much of lately. I always thought it was kind of funny. The major leagues is made up of like, I don't know what it is, 25, 30% Dominican players or something like that. And the White Sox were basically adding almost none to their international group year after year with Marco Patti and spending a lot of it on kind of these older Cuban guys. This year they announced the group, and I'll pull the graphic up on the screen here. It's a little small. I apologize for those of you trying to read this on your phone. But they had 9 players from the DR, 7 Venezuelans, 1 Colombian, and 1 from Mexico. And no Cubans, James. You think that was on purpose? Let's do no Cubans just to show the change of regime here? Or do you think this is just like normal operating procedure? Most groups don't sign many players from Cuba given the circumstances.
Yeah, there's not that many good players from there anymore. It's just not the hotbed that it was, right? And they just did it for so long. It's like the same tire, like Kenny Williams built a World Series champion and then he tried to do the same thing 10 more times, right? And it didn't work. I feel like it's like the same thing with this. Like, it's like, oh, we have to hold money over for like, oh, a Cuban might come over. And it's just like that's like their entire strategy before.
Yeah.
And like Marco Patti, for whatever reason, it leaned heavy Venezuelan late. I know he's from Panama. Like the whole international thing was like a disaster for them, right? And Chris Getz, there was a lot of change. One of the things that Chris Getz wasn't allowed to do, and this is why, like, I feel like people like me and others like still get on Jerry Reinsdorf, because it's like I like the position the organization is in. I'm optimistic. But like you hire a general manager and he's not allowed to fire the international director because he has 2 years left on his deal. You know, I just like it.
Right.
Just,
he was just Marco Petty's just hanging around here like collecting dust. He's doing nothing basically.
It's like I'm not gonna pay him to do nothing. It's like, well, you're already paying him to do nothing. Like
right.
and now and as we get into this, like now you're delayed further, as we'll talk about here in a second with like some of these signings. But yeah, like them getting back in the Dominican Republic is huge. Like that's where like the core of your class has to come from. Every year there's guys out of Venezuela too, and all the catchers always come from Venezuela. And there's a lot of pitchers from there too. But yeah, like you can't have these classes with no Dominicans in them. It just trended that way for a very long time, and some of that's changing finally.
Thank goodness. Oh, and by the way, when we had that thread on Twitter where it looked like Treasy and I are trying to defend Jerry Reinsdorf, believe me, there's plenty of ways to go at Jerry Reinsdorf. We just felt we had an angle there. I'm not a Jerry Reinsdorf defender in any way, shape, or form. We should pound him as much as possible. But you're right about that. Like, I don't know why Marco Patti was hanging around and delaying the regime change, as people will end up seeing, is like, these signings take a long time to get to the majors. I know most Sox fans aren't used to any of them getting to the majors. So you have no frame of reference of like how long does it take for these kids when they get signed at 16 years old to get to Chicago. But we're going to start seeing that pretty soon. And the White Sox top 2 signings in this market were Fernando Graterol, who's a catcher out of Venezuela. They signed him for $1.6 million. And Sebastian Romero, outfielder, also from Venezuela, $1.5 million. Tell me a little about the players here, James, that they picked up.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like Graterol's left-handed hitting catcher that they think is like athletic enough to stay there, and he has power. And I mean, this is fine. It's like these are deals for Venezuelan teenagers that are like right in the middle of everything. And the one thing that annoys me a little bit is when like people say it's like the 21st ranked player at Baseball America, when it very clearly says that Baseball America ranks the players by bonus amount. Like it has nothing to do. It's like not a ranking system, because you're signing guys when they're 12. Like you can't rank these. Like nobody knows, right? Like you give a guy $5 million and all of a sudden he's like super fat and stinks, and like it just kind of is what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they said, he'll stay at catcher. These guys are both going to play in the DSL. Ramiro is like a real center fielder with some upside. But again, right, like we just kind of trashed Marco Patti. Both of these guys were signed by him, technically, so because it's like still like they're not going to, like they're not going to have their own class until probably the majority of next year's class, and then 28 going forward, right?
Would be like fully them. Okay.
Yeah, but there are a lot of guys from this class that were added later. Like some of the pitchers, there were a couple of guys you could tell, like if you listen to the Keller press conference, you could tell the guys he signed and the guys that were like the holdover guys, because he's like, oh, let me tell you about these low dollar guys that I'm excited about. Like, yeah, because these are the guys that you got with like your money left, right? So but no, like the Dominican thing, and then a couple things just granular, I guess. Like I think pitching on the international market is like a market inefficiency, because they don't cost anything. You don't sign pitchers when they're 11. Like these guys do typically wait until they're like a little bit older. Yeah. Because they're pitchers, and then they sign for like $350,000. It's like nothing. So there's no reason to not sign like 6 or 7 of them for $300,000 or $400,000, and then all of a sudden you have Framber Valdez, or something. Like because it's just they are later. So it's not like you get the top, like the Wander Francos of the world. Like you're committing $5 or $6 million to like a 13-year-old.
Right, your whole pool is going.
Way. Yeah, and that's the only way to get a guy like that. The pitchers, like if you sit around, like they do develop late. And as bonus pools start filling up, or like you start committing to players, there's just not that much money out there. So Houston's done a really good job of it. They had like a whole rotation full of like all those guys, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier. They were all like $100,000 signings, like out of the Dominican Republic. And it doesn't always work, right? But it seems like a better strategy than signing 22-year-old Cubans for $2 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember hearing Kevin Goldstein, when he had his brief time where he wasn't working for a team after he was done with the Astros, before he jumped down with the Twins, and he explained that in a podcast. That was one of their ideologies, was they were going to sign these international pitchers. Usually they were a little older, so 17, sometimes 18 years old, and a lot of it they went off of makeup. If this was someone who was going to just work tirelessly at the craft, those were the guys that they were signing with those lower bonuses, and they're hoping to hit someone. And they hit a bunch of shit. I mean, like they built their almost their entire rotation on that. Very, very, very interesting in the approach. And I agree with you. Like, you'll see it if you look at the signings, the big signings are all position players, and then you might have one or two pitchers sprinkled in there, and the rest of the shit at the bottom is all the pitchers. It's crazy to look at when you're looking at these because you don't. They're young kids. They don't know. Like they're just projecting so fucking far away. It's impossible.
Well, he mentioned, so there's two of them that seem particularly interesting. This Roderick Ramirez, he's already like 6'3", 200 pounds, which like a lot of these pitchers, when you sign them, are like 140 pounds, and you see him and you're like, oh my God, like eat something, right? But, like this guy is bigger. It's a weird situation because the Padres like basically were just like, yeah, we don't want to give you the money anymore. You can go back like out on the market, like whatever that is.
Yeah, how does that happen? How does it like you release the guy from the commitment situation?
My guess is they're overcommitted because so like I think they signed Nick Pivetta last year, which then they lose like $500K to $1 million or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And they probably just didn't feel like trading for more money, and they were like, you know what? Yeah, you can just go back out. And then, so this is where a guy like David Keller is like, well, I really like this guy. Like, I'm going to add him to our class, like sort of thing.
Yeah. And we got Poole because we haven't had a group, an established group in here. We can
you have Poole space because Marco Patti never spent it all. He was probably waiting for a Cuban, and then he got fired. So then now you have all this extra money. But yeah, no, like Ramirez actually seems kind of interesting, and we'll see like when we get DSL stats, like, you know, like what those look like. And then there was another guy listed as a sleeper, Frankel Crisostomo. He's one of these guys that's like 155 or whatever, but
it's real small, real skinny. He's gonna put on some weight.
Francis Romero is a great Dominican reporter that knows all this stuff. That's one of his sleepers, so I have no reason not to trust him. So those two guys seem kind of interesting.
I love it. I want to dovetail back to Gratterall for a second, the catcher. You always hear about how high school catchers, one of the riskiest profiles possible. What about a pre-high school or in high school catcher, James? Risky or not, just because at this level, are you just picking athletes and like, okay, right now he's a catcher, but you'll figure out what he is kind of when you get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably risky if you're going to give him much more money than this, but I mean, $1.5 million's like fine. I mean, they took Landon Hodge in the 4th round, and that was like 1.1 million. So maybe this is like the price of that sort of developmental catcher. The thing that the White Sox would always do, like at least two, this is like, if you listen to David Keller, it's catchers, center fielders, and shortstops. They just another Marco Patti thing was like they just would sell out for they just like wanted these power guys all the time, right?
Right.
And then they end up as first baseman and they don't have enough power, so then they end up as nothing basically. And you've just like wasted your whole pool. Where at least if you have some like defenders, some guys might get through your system, you know. I mean, and we've seen like, I mean, if you go back and you look at the reports from Lenin Sosa when he signed, it was like his defense was like way ahead of his offense and he was never going to hit, right? Yes. And now you think he could be Nelson Cruz and he has no defensive position. So.
Well, there was no power at some point too. It's like all contact, no power. Then all of a sudden, this guy's got a BBL and he's smashing home runs. I don't know what's going on with this dude. You know, like...
So basically, sign 20 of these guys every year, and that was the thing about have full classes. That's what all I asked for. We don't know anything about these guys. Make them teenage heavy, make them Dominican heavy, and sign a ton of them.
Yeah. Right. And then something will pop for you. Right. It happens for everybody else. So it's going to happen for you too. So expect. Now, one interesting thing I saw a tweet about the New York Yankees. I wanted you to fill in a little of the blanks here. I saw this tweet, and it says from a source, Brian Cashman ordered the cancellation of the organization's international pre-agreements. I don't think they canceled all of them, but what the tweet says, it says the Bronx Bombers have begun a restructuring process in which the new international director will be primarily responsible for implementing a revamped international signing system aimed at restoring legitimacy and transparency to the process. But they did undo some signings, right? What happened here exactly, James?
They don't have a director. It's crazy. So usually, like, you just honor the current your commitments and then you go hire somebody. So Wandy Asien, I think is like one of the top players in the class. He signed with the Mets. Like, I don't know, he was like 3.8 million. And then the Mets had to trade prospects to get more money to sign him because he basically, you know, so yeah, the Yankees did end up signing some of their guys. My thing is, so the
Okay.
pre-agreements, all these teams have agreements with kids in 27, 28, 29, 2030.
Right.
I think he like canceled all of those is the way that I
Oh,
looked
God.
at it. But like, so then you're going to hire a new director, but then you're going to be like 4 years behind everybody else. So do you remember the name Braston Basker? Is that on our list here? Yeah.
It is on our list for a little later. Yes, I do.
This is the middle schooler that the White Sox agreed to terms with like a few
Yes.
months back. So he's supposed to be like the top player in the
2030 class, right?
Yeah, I can't even say it with a straight face. In the class of 2030, right?
Yeah.
Now, miraculously, the guys are usually right about this type of stuff. So it's like not totally something you should laugh off. Like Wander Franco was like this, and like some of these other guys, right? So yeah, he might be like really awesome in like the 2030s, whatever. So he had a Yankees agreement, and then all of a sudden he didn't. So the White Sox like swooped in 2030, and they're like, we'll give you $6 million, which is a lot of money, like on this marketplace, right? So yeah, so the White Sox were directly affected by this. I've never seen anything like it. So the Yankees were always like pretty well respected as far as like, I mean, this whole thing is sleazy, but they were pretty good at it. So it's like weird. I don't know if like he was like skimming or what. Like I have no idea, but yeah, like they don't have an international director. They're like looking to hire one, and it's definitely like affecting them like the next few years.
Yeah, I had Basker in here because I remember when that news rolled out, Teresi and I were like, oh shit, man, we're actually playing by the rules like everybody else. This is great.
Finally.
And Sox fans' reactions were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they're like, isn't he 12?
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny. Like we're talking, and MSS is like, what is this, guys? Is this how things really go? Like we're not usually probably doing something like yes. I'm like, it looks ridiculous, but this is what the other teams actually do. We just haven't engaged in it in a lot of years. So this is a good thing in theory. Like,
yeah, you not engaging in it is how you end up with like the Oscar Kolases of the world, because you're like, oh, we'll give him $2 million. We got nothing else to spend it on. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of sleazy, but like if this is the market, like this is what you have to do. And supposedly, so James Fegan wrote something too, like they got a big guy in 2029 as well. I think like Ranciel Herrera or something, and then supposedly their 28 class they're excited about. So yeah, I mean there's no reason, like again, back to like a Jerry Reinsdorf thing, right? Like, are we ever gonna get free agents to sign for 10 at 350? Maybe not, right?
Right.
But there's no reason why you can't be one of the leaders in this marketplace, like with a fixed, like, you know what I mean? Like every team can spend 7 million tops or whatever it is. Like there's no reason for you to not be great at it.
No, absolutely. And I think back in the day at Fangraphs, Eric Longenhagen and Kylie McDaniel tried to do a study of how much the international pool money is worth. And I think when they calculated it out for the period in which they calculated like kind of the players who graduate and their war and all that stuff, they calculated like every dollar to be worth $6 or $7. So like by punting any of this, you're like punting so much goddamn money. And for a thrifty owner, like this is the math you need to make this guy understand. Like, hey, every dollar we spend here is worth $7. Let's not fuck around with this. So it's encouraging that one, I assume it's Ishbia's money, but that they're building a new academy down there. And I said in the beginning, and people were like, Ishbia, I'm like, it's got to be Ishbia's money. Come on now. There's no way. There's no way this comes out of nowhere. And then two, they're actually investing in Dominican and Venezuelan kids as of this group.
Well, I think the biggest part about the whole thing is like the cutting edge facility, fine, whatever. I think it gives you the opportunity to have two. I'm glad that their plan is to have two teams. They've
announced that already, right?
Yeah. They can't have two teams right now because they don't have enough space for the guys to play. Okay. And like you also like you'll see some classes are like 50 kids deep. I mean, the Sox can't do that because they have one team. There's just nowhere for these guys to play, right? So like an 18, 19, 20 person class is fine. Like if you have one team. But yeah, and as owners like keep like getting rid of minor league levels. And so there's like a certain amount, like you can have like 180 players in your organization or whatever, like total. The academy players don't count. So
you can jam the academies.
So there's no reason to not have two teams and have 50 kids over there, that are,
makes sense.
Yeah. So that part's interesting. I think that's a big deal. Keller seemed pretty excited about that part of the whole operation, like building a new academy and just like thinking that would be helpful for them.
No, I heard David Keller, James Fegan interviewed him, gushing about a Stuart Valdez. Are there any other guys in the class, James, that are like kind of interesting to you, or guys that caught your eye as the names are coming through?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's the Felix LeBron guy that they mentioned.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
So Keller brought him up as like his sleeper, right? But then I see like he's being written about kind of like all over. So then I'm like, is like the source David Keller for all of this, right? Like,
Right.
so then I kind of get to like start to get a little bit worried. But it does seem like he's just like one of these late bloomers. I don't know that he stays at shortstop. But he was, he was just compared to other players that are like interesting, right? So even though he signed for $300,000, it seems like that's the guy that I'm probably going to be the most interested in, like seeing if he's any good. I wouldn't be surprised if he's better than their top two signings, just because of, like the way it's just strange, like the way this goes sometimes, right? Like we heard, and it's kind of funny. Like when the Ben Badlers and these guys of the world are like, oh yeah, the sleeper in the class is this guy. Well, sometimes it's like Javier Mogollon, right? Who's like a top 30 prospect in the system. And like, I don't know that he's ever going to play in the big leagues.
Right.
But these guys who do this generally are right on like which guys the sleeper guys are. It's like somebody nudged them and told them, like, here's the actual two best guys. Write this. You'll look smart, type of thing.
I mean, we say sleeper, but or say late bloomer or whatever. Yeah, he got a little better at 16. Like, he's still a kid. Like, that's what cracks me up about these things. Is like, yeah, I guess you probably had the agreement in place a lot earlier, so the monies are kind of defined. And if someone pops a little bit later, it's probably hard for them to inch up and get a lot more money in a marketplace if they're blooming at 16 or so.
Yeah, that's what. And like Juan Soto was like that. Juan Soto didn't sign. He didn't sign for very much, and then all of a sudden he got awesome.
Yeah, he was 19. He's in the majors.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, people don't like talking about Fernando Tatis, but like he signed for like $700K. He was like the 31st ranked player in that class at Pipeline. Nobody thought he was going to be anything, and then all of a sudden, like Keith Laws got him in his top 50, and then he's in the big leagues like 5 months later. It's like, come on.
Yeah, that's why we should take a lot of chances, right, James? Take a lot of shots at these guys. Why wouldn't we?
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, so just for people to know, like, I think Brian Ramos and Lenyn Sosa signed in like 2016. Like,
right? Yes,
it's 2026 right now. Like, this is how long it takes for some of these guys.
Yeah, unless one of these guys is a phenom.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to see this guy until the next century.
No, and even like you, like if you
the next decade. I mean.
If you think you're going to get good here, hopefully, even having a bunch of these guys to trade is valuable. Like you just get a bunch of them and trade them all.
Yeah, you can watch the Padres annually do that, right? I mean, the Padres buy a big gaggle of them, be kind of right about at least the first part of their development, and then ship them off various places for the veterans that they need. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, Trey, I was wrong. Not next century, next decade. Sorry about that. I was moving a little too fast on us there. Now, you did say that, like, this is kind of maybe a little bit of next group. This is kind of like the last group that's going to have the big ties to Marco Patti. But are you starting to see any tendencies of the David Keller group and what they like to do when they're signing these kids?
Yeah, so to me, like so far, like I like all the stuff he said just about like, there's talented players everywhere, and he just knows like this is like a place where you can get premium upside for like very little money, which is why there's no reason for you to be signing first basemen or guys that you think are going to be first basemen like in this marketplace, right? It should all be center fielders, it should all be shortstops, which it seems like most of the guys Keller has done have been. And then I like it seems like they're focused on pitching a lot more than they were previously, which I think is smart. We kind of talked about that earlier. I mean, even like last year, like a guy like Yobel Rodriguez comes over, and he is Cuban, but he was a teenager, so it's fine. It's like $300,000. He doesn't throw that hard. He throws like 91 to 93, but it's like a really good changeup. He was awesome in the DSL. He'll pitch in Arizona. We'll see if he's any good. But I mean, I think he's on Baseball America's top 30 list. So I just think, I think the, getting in on the top guys, which it seems like they're going to do, is something that they should do when they can. And then just, finally having full classes full of athletes and pitchers. It's just, I don't know that David Keller's better than anybody else is, but that's the right idea. This is like what we should be doing.
Yeah, I like it. I'll take league average, James. The league average would generate a lot of shit we haven't been seeing on this team and fill in a lot of holes on a lot of rosters that would have made them a lot better. Yeah, I agree with you. Kind of an approach over. I can't wait till they are able to start taking their own big swings. I mean, we talked about Basker, but like when they start being able to take some larger swings at stuff, I'm interested to see kind of where that lands and where it goes. One last thing.
Well, he always talks about like the data and that stuff too. So they are finally like sharing information, like
combining it all
and stuff, and like guys are actually like going to these dirt fields with like TrackMan devices. Like I don't know what like when they described this last year, Beef. They're like, oh yeah, we're like bringing cameras out to the field. I'm like, what the hell were you guys doing before? like I just, how were you not doing any of this? Like, no wonder why it hasn't worked. Like you're just like going out there and like taking a look at a player in a tournament and deciding to sign. Like it's like, oh my god, they're like so far, but like as excited as I get when I hear about this stuff, like oh they got this machine or this machine, you just like quickly realize how far behind they were intentionally before, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, everyone already had all this shit already. Thank God we're catching up to it. Well, it's funny you mentioned what were they doing before. I don't know if you've ever read Future Value, but they talk about the cheating in the back of that thing where like they'll give bad number or the good numbers on guys who don't run as fast as they say or whatever. And it's like, there's a lot of that stuff where you got to go measure it yourself. You got to go measure how far these guys are actually running. Is it 60 yards or is it not in these instances? And so you got to be careful. Yeah. It would help to have your own tech and your own intel and your own, hey, you do this at our place. We know exactly the confines of this stuff. It's interesting. Funny market, the international market.
Well, there's bad busts all the time, right? Like, guys, they got $4 million that we've never heard of that are just whatever, and nobody generally cares, right? But if you sign like Juan Soto, like it's like
makes up for everybody.
Oh my god, it's insanely valuable.
One last thing on the international market, I read this throwaway line in Fangraphs. They were in their prospects article on the Dodgers, and it says, end quote, their global clout tends to give them better access to the best Taiwanese, Korean, and Japanese players. And they're also operating a facility in Africa without much competition there. James, to your knowledge, are the White Sox starting to branch off in any avant-garde markets that doesn't come to mind to us as a normal baseball market?
I don't think so. I mean, David Keller talked about, so they had one Mexican signing and they mentioned how he was a little bit older. He was like 18, but like they didn't notice him. So their scout from Panama noticed him pitching in like some tournament or something. So I don't know that they're in Mexico, like scouring the Mexican league. But like, Keller did do the whole, well, there's good players everywhere type of thing. And that's, one of the I think typically like you have to pay for guys out of that league. So a lot of teams don't. I mean, they've been in Panama like a ton. I think it's mostly just Asian and Dominican. I don't think the White Sox are anywhere like crazy. What was that movie years ago where they
went to India or something?
They signed the cricket players, the Pirates scouts with it's like John Hamm, I think, right? I think John Hamm signed cricket players from India. I don't think they're doing that. But I welcome it. That would be cool.
I was gonna say, I remember a long time ago, in a one-away podcast in the old days, we had Brian Billick on, and we were asking him like, why don't the Sox go to any of these, play soccer-heavy countries and try to start converting some of these soccer players into it? And he's like, it's a great idea, but I don't see them ever doing it. But it does seem like baseball's starting to stretch a little bit more into some avant-garde markets. And it was interesting to read that. I would have thought there'd be academies located somewhere in the continent of Africa, just given the amount of people there.
Well, one of their best prospects is a French pitcher, but he like came through like the regular draft process.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's another example of the game growing enough that it does, get into that. And I know there are smallish leagues in Europe, but nothing compared to the Dominican. But
I'll say this too, and you didn't ask about this, but like seeing the bonuses that we just saw for like Murakami and some of these guys, I wouldn't be surprised if more Japanese and Asian players like try to come the US route and play college baseball because because if you're going to have to wait till age 25 or whatever, and then you're still like not going to get very much of a bonus, like it's just not really worth it anymore. Like it's just kind of, like if only the top guys are going to get $100 million, because they've already seen it, like where there's like a handful of Japanese guys that have like enrolled at colleges. There's a pitcher at Penn State, there's a hitter at Stanford, and then they can just come through like the normal draft then.
Yeah, and they could start getting paid right away. Get that money, get that bonus right out of the gate. Pasty Tacos with the drink. He says, Viva la Ju. Thank you, Pasty. Appreciate you, my friend. I'm having a little rosé today. I don't know why. Rosé is usually a summer wine, but I had a couple in my wine cooler, so I wanted to have it.
Yeah, it is very cold today. So
I stepped outside. I had the day off. My company's closed today. I stepped out just to like throw the trash. I'm like, fuck this. I don't need to be outside anymore.
It's really not good. Yeah.
But one last thing I wanted to talk to you about, James, is
this is going to be my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a beef in the sports media world here in Chicago. And Mark Silverman kind of really went in on Chuck Swirsky. And it was about comments about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson cursing, F the Packers, all that stuff. And it devolved into kind of a little more of a personal beef there. Do you like when sports radio heads have these beefs? You wish there were more of them, James?
I think this is awesome. Like, and they're rival stations, right?
Yep.
And like Sylvia doesn't usually do this.
Yeah,
so
right.
there was like if he said it, I'm like, oh, this is true if he's going to air with it. Like this is like what people. So the thing I'm curious about is if people like at 670 or like everywhere else are like, yep, like yeah, that guy sucks, but we work here and we can't say any of that type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I've already seen like I got buddies in group chats and stuff that have sent me like that have commented on the story or said something and like they're all blocked on Twitter now.
Yeah, I'm blocked too. I put up a poll who was the most Chuck Swirsky and White Sox Twitter, and I'm blocked for that.
Yeah, Swirsky hasn't blocked me yet. Maybe after this, if he's watching live. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always thought he kind of has come off like disingenuous, like I don't know, like it's like a lot of religious stuff and just kind of and like the dancing stuff is fine, and like I think he's like a talented broadcaster. But I know people who weren't surprised to know that he's kind of like a backstabber. And I know you did who's the Chuck Swirsky of White Sox Twitter like thing. And it's just, it's like, I wasn't really that surprised, but I do think like the thing that led to it was the Ben Johnson, like the fuck the Packers stuff, right?
Yes.
Which is like, okay, fine. Like whatever. Like, what do you think?
Why do you care about that?
Like, what do you think happens in locker rooms? First of all, like now, if like, I guess like if the argument is like the Bears shouldn't film that and put it out,
yeah,
okay. Like I think like having that opinion is fair, but like coaches have been saying stuff like that in locker rooms like forever. Like we do it in high school locker rooms sometimes, so like that part I wasn't surprised about at all.
I was gonna say, when you mentioned the locker room part, James, it brings me back to a long time ago when the Jonathan Martin thing from the Dolphins, and some of that stuff came out, and I remember telling people that I was friends with, I didn't play football, I played basketball, mind you, so this is 100% tamer than a football locker room. I was like, the shit that was said there, tame compared to the shit we would say to each other in a locker room every day, practice or whatever. I'm like, you guys have no idea what a locker room is like. People talking to each other in just absolutely fucking lewd ways, getting under each other's skin and shit.
Yeah, and so it goes back to like Danny Parkins thing. And God, do I miss that guy? But where he always said like less hate in the world, more hate in sports. I couldn't agree more. Like it's fantastic, right? Like the teams are rivals. The Bears have sucked forever. Like screw you, this is fun. Like you don't have to make this. Oh, you shouldn't swear in the locker room. Like okay, like you can have that opinion, but it's like a stupid opinion. Like shut up.
Yes.
And like the people all over Twitter that are like, oh, I can't believe Ben. Like stop. Like just stop. He needs to get like 80 Neanderthals to like believe in everything he says, right?
That's right.
Like these are not normal humans.
Correct.
Like this is like part of that process, right? And so, and then even the media is like, oh, what did George have to say? It's like George loved it. He hates him too. Like, I mean,
what do you think? He's been here this whole time. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, like Virginia died. It's fine. Like it's fine. Like it's like not a big deal. But yeah, no, I was pretty surprised. My favorite part of that whole thing was Waddle. If you watch the video?
Yes, I have watched the video. Yes.
Yeah, and Waddle's just like, it's like that GIF with the the black guy with the popcorn, with like eating the popcorn, like, you know, that's like what Waddle was like. You know,
MSS and I were talking about on the podcast. We were like, Waddle did not look shocked. So this has been a conversation off air. He looked like, oh, you're gonna go with that? All right, I'm gonna let you go. Let's see what you go.
He said, hey, why don't you get off the fence? Like, you know, he said, tell us how you really feel. Like, no, I would love more of that. Like media beef would be like awesome. I was actually hoping, like, I listen to the Bernstein show like quite often, and I was hoping he'd do more of it. Like, dude, you're like unfiltered.
Now that you're really out there, you can say some shit. Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. I want to hear all these stories. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember in the days when the Score had a more loaded lineup and they would do transition, and sometimes you would get some shit out of the transition because you could tell some of the personalities maybe didn't get along that well, or whatever. And maybe it wasn't overt beef, but it was more like, I'm smarter than you, or I understand this better than you, or that type of shit, or whatever. But yeah, that's fun. That's part of the storyline. That's part of the fucking drama. There should be absolutely more of that. I'm 100% with you.
Like taking shots at the other station. Like, I think I was in high school. No, I was probably a little bit older because it was Mac, Yurko, and Harry. And like Mac would talk about Terry Boers because they were partners before, you know? Yeah. And there was a very specific thing where he said, like, they were talking about being afraid of clowns. And he said, you know, what's funny is like Terry Boers is afraid of clowns. He said, which is shocking to me because he sits next to one every day for 4 hours. Like, and I was like, hey, that's the type of media beef that we need. Like, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Go at each other. You know, what the fuck? Yeah, I agree. I think it would add a lot more to it. I mean, it used to be a personality driven medium. And with respect to that, the personalities are going to butt up against other ones. And so I see no problem with that. I think it's a medium that's been watered down a bunch and now doesn't maybe have as many impact personalities. So they could really use it now, in my opinion.
Yeah, and apparently with Chuck, it's like people have said it's like a Reinsdorf thing too. Like he gets very offended if you say anything negative about the chairman.
You wouldn't like White Sox Twitter much.
No, probably not. Yeah.
Trey says we need more White Sox Twitter beef. We got plenty of that. We let's get stirred up every year. There's no problem there.
Since the White Sox are good now, though, how many more podcasts this year?
It's going to double, I think. If they get like a month where they're hot, it's going to fucking the gold rush will start again. Remember the gold rush of like 2020 or whatever. It's like, who are all these people doing this shit now? Like, yeah, it's going to happen again. It's going to.
Yeah, I mean, they were horrible. I was like, hey, we're still here. Like, we're still doing this. Like, every week, you know, like,
we're the real sickos that are still around fucking talking about this.
No, the real sickos are the ones that are like in our chat, like watching us talk about it. Those are the real sickos.
And tipping $5 for us to have a drink. The real lunatics. I agree with that. Well, James, thanks for discussing White Sox presence in Japan and the Caribbean, recent tendencies of the group, Braston Basker, and Sylvie versus Swirsky. Remember, we ain't trying to be right on the show. We're just trying to understand. Anything you want to plug before you go?
Yeah, Future Sox podcast every Sunday night with me and Ian, and then Elijah hosts with various others. Dylan during the week. You know, we're with Just Baseball now. That's been fun. We might have Sox Fest news coming up too here shortly.
But yes. MSS and I were like, well, should we say? No, we won't say anything. We'll just, but maybe you never know. We'll see. So.
Yeah, we'll see you there. We'll see you at Reggie's after.
Exactly. James, take care. Good talking to you, brother.
All right, man. See you later.
That was James Fox. Pedro says sicko. I'll thank you. Yes. All of you in the comments. You're a sick bastard. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate you. Next week's guest, I'm going to have on Alex Rude. And Alex and I are going to talk about White Sox offseason so far. We've got a few disagreements on things, particularly the Dylan Cease contract, which he thinks is good value. I feel like it's a bit of an overpay. We're going to hash that out there with him. Thanks to everyone who was up in the comments. Punky's Pizza and Pasta is a great sponsor, and all the 108 family. Appreciate you smashing the like button, comments, and, of course, those drinks and tips. Check us out on Thursday for the 108 podcast. We'll see you